The mode of production of material life conditions the general process of social, political, and intellectual life. It is not the consciousness of men that determine their existence, but the social existence that determines their consciousness. What Marx is trying to say is that the base of society, which are the means of production, the economy, give rise to the superstructure, which is the state, law, government, family, social rituals, religion, culture, and education. It gives rise to the norms and the everyday consciousness of our society. Anyways, history is made as a result of the struggle between the different social classes rooted in the underlying base. The base is composed of the economic forces that produce everything. So basically, our mode of production, we live in a capitalist society. Since we live in this mode of production, capitalism pretty much determines all the socio-political, legal structures that form society. Everything is based off of that particular mode of production, capitalism. So Marx is going to argue later in the Communist Manifesto that if we change the mode of production, then we can change society for the better. So Marx famously predicted the breakdown of capitalism and the establishment of a communist society which class-based human conflict would be overcome. The means of production would be held in the common ownership and used for the common good. Marx thought social progress is determined by the progress in the material productive forces a society has at its disposal, such as technology, labor, capital, goods, etc. Focusing on society rather than the individual. Like, he focuses on the society rather than the individual. Capitalism, in Marx's opinion, is the worst mode of production because of the necessary exploitation of workers, of the necessary need, use people as means instead of ends in themselves. There are 4 types of alienation that occur because of capitalism. Capitalism produces very different forms of alienation. The first form of alienation is the labor, or I am alienated from the product that I make. Typically, I work for a company and I do not get to decide what product I get to make. I am told what product I need to make. And since I don't get to decide what product I do make, I am alienated from the product because I don't want to create the product, but I am forced to create the product. Okay, the second form of alienation is the worker from working. Since I do not get to choose what product I get to make, working on this product that I don't want to work on gives me little satisfaction. It gives me little psychological satisfaction. We don't get anything from producing these products that we don't want to make, so we are alienated from the actual work, from doing the work, from making the product. So from just working, we're alienated from that. The third form of alienation is from myself. Since I am working on this product that I don't want to make, that I don't have any input into it, I need to alienate my own self from my own self to get through it. So Marx calls it alienation from my own species essence. Have you ever worked at a job that you absolutely hated and you just didn't want to do it at all, but you kind of like coached yourself through it? You kind of coached yourself through getting through the hours that you needed to do just so you could get a paycheck at the end of the week. We all do it, and we need to deal with it. Okay, so the fourth form is that I, as a worker, am alienated from other workers. Basically, capitalism reduces man and his labor to a commodity. Basically, this means since I need to work to produce money, I am competitive with other people who also need to work to produce money, to get money, to buy food, to buy clothing, to make rent. So everyone is competitive against each other, and since we are all competitive against each other, we're alienated from each other. So Marx thought to get out of capitalism, the struggle between the working class and the bourgeoisie, the working class had to basically form a revolution. They have to come together to restructure society and change the way that society is structured. We do that by coming together and forcing the bourgeoisie to give up all the land and all of this tons of capital that they have acquired. Think about Occupy Wall Street. 99% basically stood up against the 1% and demanded justice. They demanded equality. So that in itself is a form of coming together, trying to form a revolution, trying to bring consciousness to the rest of the world that this inequality is not just. So Marx's solution would be to construct or reorder society to ensure it to become a classless and stateless one, where everyone is equal and no one owns the means of production, which would eventually exploit people and alienate people from each other and themselves. So specifically, Communist Manifesto, Marx lays out the necessities that people need to take to create a stateless and classless society. So the first one is the abolition of property and land. Ownership and the application of all rents of land to public purposes. 2. A heavy, progressive, or graduated income tax. 3. Abolition of all rights of inheritance. 4. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. 5. Centralization of credit in the hands of the state by the means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. 6. Centralization of the means of communications and transportation in the hands of the state. 7. Extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state, the bringing into cultivation of wastelands, and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with a common plan. 8. Equal liability of all to labor. Establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. 9. Combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries. Gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of population over the country. 10. Free education for all children in public schools. Abolition of children's factory labor in its present form. Combination of education with industrial production. I hope you guys are getting great answers from nudeanswers.com. We unlock all the answers and we bring you more wisdom in less time. Check us out, www.nudeanswers.com. See you soon.